After you left the house, Jonghy's mood visibly dropped. She sat on the couch with a pout, her usual brightness dimmed. Jungkook, who had been watching her with concern, moved closer and sat down beside her. "What's wrong, Junghee?" Junghee sighed and leaned against his side. "I don't feel good, uncle. I wish she didn't leave. I want her to stay with me always," she said quietly, her small hands gripping his arm. Jungkook looked down at her, surprised by how attached she had become to you in such a short time. "You really like her, don't you?" he asked, brushing some stray hair out of her face. "She is so kind, uncle, and today she made me so happy. I don't want her to go away." Her voice trailed off, filled with longing. Jungkook sighed, wrapping his arm around her shoulders protectively. "I know, Junghee, she is special." He couldn't deny the impact you had on both him and his niece. The way you cared for Junghee had touched him deeply, and for the first time in a long while, he felt something stir in his chest, something beyond his usual controlled exterior. Junghee looked up at him with wide eyes. "Do you think she will come back soon? I want her to be with us every day. I don't feel so alone when she is here." Jungkook's heart softened at her words. He couldn't bear to see Junghee so sad, especially after everything she had already been through. "We will invite her again soon," he reassured her, patting her back. "And who knows, maybe she will come around more often if you ask nicely." Junghee brightened up a little at that, but the sadness in her eyes didn't completely fade. "I just want her to be part of our family. She is so perfect, uncle." As Junghee slowly drifted off to sleep, resting against his chest, Jungkook found himself deep in thought. Meanwhile, at your home, you had safely arrived and went through your casual evening routine. After freshening up and changing into comfortable clothes, you lay down in bed exhausted. Your thoughts, however, kept drifting back to the events of the day. Jonghy's bright smile, her infectious laughter, and the warmth of her little hands in yours played on repeat in your mind. As your mind wandered, thoughts of Jungkook also slipped in. The way he had insisted on making sure you got home safely, his protective nature towards Junghee, and how he looked at you with a mix of admiration, and it all made an impression on you. You couldn't deny the growing attraction you felt towards him. His authoritative demeanor was balanced by his deep care for his family, and that combination was hard to ignore. You kept your feelings locked inside, convincing yourself that it was for the best. No matter how much your heart fluttered when you thought of Jungkook, no matter how much you enjoyed being around Junghee, you told yourself that it wasn't meant to be. You sighed softly, pulling the blankets closer around you, trying to push away the confusing emotions swirling in your heart. A few days later, Jonghy's little mind was buzzing with ideas. She missed you so much that she couldn't stand waiting any longer, and her innocent heart had already formed a plan to bring you into their family forever. "If Uncle Jungkook marries Why an aunt, she will be with us every day," she thought excitedly. "Then I won't have to wait for her visits. I can play with her all the time. Determined to make this happen, she carefully waited for the right moment. One evening while Jungkook was distracted with some paperwork, Junghee sneaked up beside him and took his phone. Glancing over her shoulder to make sure he wasn't paying attention, she came aside and she dialed your number with a mischievous grin. You answered after a few rings, your voice warm as always. Hello. Aunty Wayan, it's me Junghee, she chirped, excitement bubbling in her voice. Oh Junghee, how are you, sweetheart? I'm good, but I miss you. I was wondering if you could come to our house tomorrow. I really want to see you. Of course baby, I would love to see you again. I'll come tomorrow. Junghee's eyes light up. Really? Thank you Auntie Wayan. I can't wait to see you. She could barely contain her excitement, but inside she was thinking about how this was the first step in her plan to make you stay with them forever. After you agreed, Junghee hung up quickly before Jungkook could notice. She was beaming with excitement, already thinking of ways to get you and Jungkook to spend more time together. This is going to work, she thought, feeling proud of her little scheme. The next day you arrived at Jungkook's mansion as promised. As soon as the car stopped, Junghee was already waiting at the front door, bouncing on her toes with excitement. The moment you stepped out, she ran up to you and hugged you tightly. Auntie Wayan, I'm so happy you came. You smiled warmly and hugged her back. How could I say no to you, huh? I have missed you too. She grinned and grabbed your hand, leading you inside. Come on, let's sit and talk. I have been waiting to see you all week. Auntie, I want to talk to you about something. What is it, Junghee? She stood up and said, Auntie Wayan, I want to talk about something really important, but I want Uncle Jungkook to be here too. I need to tell you both at the same time. You nodded and she quickly ran off to call for Jungkook. He soon approached, making his way downstairs, his eyes catching yours as he smiled warmly. Wayan, it's good to see you again. You smiled back, your heart fluttering ever so slightly. Good to see you too, Jungkook. Junghee stood between you both looking determined. Uncle, I invited Auntie Wayan here today because I want to talk about something important. Jungkook raised an eyebrow, glancing at her with curiosity. What is it, Junghee? Taking a deep breath, Junghee spoke with a firmness that surprised you both. I think, Uncle, you should marry Auntie Wayan. Both you and Jungkook froze, staring at her in shock, unable to process her words immediately. Jungkook blinked, his jaw slightly clenched in surprise, while you sat still, eyes wide. Junghee, what are you talking about? Junghee looked at you, her innocent eyes full of emotion. Auntie Wayan, you remind me of my mom. I don't remember her too well, but the way you care for me, the way you look after me, it feels like what I think a mom would be. And uncle, I see how you look at Auntie Vian. You both care about me, and you both care about each other. I want Auntie Vian to be part of our family. Jungkook stood in stunned silence as Junghee continued her words, tugging at both your hearts. Please, uncle, I want her to stay with us forever. She could be my mom and your wife. But his hesitation stemmed from not knowing if you felt the same way and from the fear of pushing you into something just because of Jonghy's wishes. Junghee, this isn't something we can decide like that. It's not that simple. Junghee pouted, her eyes brimming with determination. But uncle, it makes sense. Auntie Vian cares about us and we care about her. I just want her to be with us always. Please. I can't deny that I care about Vian. He admitted, glancing at you briefly before continuing. But this is a decision that affects all of us. It's not something I want to force on anyone. Junghee, however, wasn't letting go that easily. Auntie, what about you? Wouldn't you want to be with us? You could be my mom, and I would love you forever. Please say yes. Taking a deep breath, you kneeled down to Jonghy's level and cupped her little face in your hands. Junghee, sweetheart, you know I care about you very much. You are like a little light in my life. If being part of your family would make you happy, I wouldn't want anything else. Jonghy's eyes light up with joy, and before you could process it further, she ran over to Jungkook, grabbed his hand, and then came back to you, taking your hand in her other one. Uncle, Auntie, you both belong together, she said sweetly, looking between the two of you as she clasped your hands together, her small fingers bridging the gap. Vian, I'm not just saying this for Junghee. I think we could make this work, but only if you want it to. You looked into his deep eyes, your heart beating faster. Taking a deep breath, you smiled softly. I think we can make this work too. Auntie, I'm so happy you are staying tonight, she whispered, her small voice filled with joy. You smiled and sat on the edge of her bed, gently brushing your fingers through her hair. I'm happy to, Junghee. Auntie, can I ask you something? Of course, sweetheart, you can ask me anything. Do you like my uncle? Her innocent question caught you off guard, and for a moment you were unsure how to answer. You cleared your throat softly and smiled. Why do you ask that, Junghee? Because I really like you, Auntie, and I think you make Uncle happy. When you are here, he smiles a lot more. Gently, you took her small hand in yours. I care about your Uncle Junghee, and I care about you too. You are both very special to me. Junghee's eyes sparkled as she smiled widely. I know it. I know you liked him. I know you are perfect for him, Auntie. You laughed quietly, touched by her sweet enthusiasm. You think so? Yeah, you make him smile, and I like when you are here. It feels like I have a mom again. Oh, Junghee, I'm so happy you feel that way. You are such a strong, brave girl, and I'm so lucky to know you. Can you stay forever, Auntie? You leaned down and pressed a soft kiss to her forehead. I will always be here when you need me, Junghee. I promise. She yawned, her eyes beginning to close as sleep finally claimed her. I love you, Auntie. Your heart swelled with love and affection for the little girl, and you whispered softly, I love you too, Junghee. Come with me, he said quietly, gesturing toward the living room. You nodded silently and followed him, your mind swelling with thoughts about what he might say next. Did you really agree to this marriage for me or just for Junghee? I agreed to this marriage for Junghee. She is a special girl and I want her to be happy. But you hesitated, glancing at Jungkook, who was watching you intently, waiting for you to continue. But but I also like you, Jungkook. I have liked you since the day I first met you. I just wasn't sure about your feelings. I didn't know if you felt the same or if this was only for Junghee's sake. Do you really think I only agreed to this marriage because of Junghee? No, Ryan. I agreed to this marriage because I have feelings for you too. Your breath caught in your throat and you looked at him in surprise. He leaned forward, his dark eyes locking onto yours. As a mafia boss, I have never let anyone in. I never allowed myself to feel anything, no love, no care, nothing. I couldn't afford to. But after you came into my life, I can't even describe how different things feel. You have brought something into my world that I didn't think was possible. I have fallen for you, Wayne. Your care for Junghee, your kindness, your strength, everything about you has made me realize that I can't let you go. I want you in my life. Just not just for Junghee, but for me. I really love you. I had no idea. I thought I was just imagining things. I never thought you could feel the same way. Jungkook reached out and took your hand gently, his thumb brushing over your knuckles in a tender gesture. I have felt this way for a while ago, but I didn't know how to say it. I wasn't sure if you felt the same. I do. I feel the same. I have been falling for you too, but I didn't want to push you into anything. I thought maybe this was just about Junghee. He shook his head, his expression softening as he leaned closer. It started with Junghee, yes, but it's about you and me now. I want this. I want us. You have no idea how happy I am now, he murmured, his thumb continuing to trace gentle patterns on your hand.